what it means to be an American. America is freedom, and freedom is special and rare.
We, the people of this great nation.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
We, the people.
We, the people
of this great nation.
of this great nation.
We are the great people of this nation. And November 3rd, in a few days, we will determine who is going to be the president of the United States of America. And I strongly believe it's going to be Donald J. Trump. Now, today's topic, what I want to talk about today is polls. Now, all these polls seem to be extremely biased. And I don't understand. Hopefully, when Donald Trump gets reelected, all these pollsters will get fired and investigated for misleading the public. Because it's apparent to me that these people are not seeing what's going on out there. Numbers-wise, Donald Trump is leading in Florida. I start looking at the votes that have been casted, early voting. I do small polls on my Facebook, which I have a lot of liberal friends, and I have a Republican group of people as well. And Donald Trump wins by a landslide. And this is me just doing a Facebook poll. It's quite insane to me that they continue this false, misleading information. And it's coming from all sides, from Twitter, from Facebook. They conceal and hide information from the public. They say they're all about freedom of speech on their platform, but when it's against Sleepy Joe Biden, well, it's not.
Come on, man.
I mean, this is BS. We honestly should create a platform that is just for people who want to have freedom of speech. Doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, whatever you might be, but an actual platform where you're free to say whatever you want to say. These people are censoring the New York Post. The New York Post was founded by Alexander Hamilton. Suddenly we have a few people that decide what goes on the internet and what doesn't? Is this what we've come to? Is this the power we've handed over to these young tech idiots? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But that set aside, I want to focus on polls. So I see everything that goes on for Trump. I participate in some of these things, like the boat parade here in Florida. I can't believe that in their right mindset, they actually think that Biden stands a chance in the state of Florida. I've predicted several times what's going to happen. He's going to take Miami, which it's already, the numbers are showing he's leading in Miami. And this is key on why you see them go to specific places. For example, you see Obama go and talk in Orlando because the majority of Puerto Ricans vote Democrat. It's their freedom. It's their God-given right. I still don't understand why people vote against their own special interest. The GDP today reported a ridiculous spike, a ridiculous number. I believe it was 31%, 32% increase. That was like 3 times, 4 times the amount that they estimated it was going to do. This is all due to Donald Trump's economy. I mean, were people not happy pre-pandemic? Forget about the rhetoric, and let me tell you something. Most of the rhetoric has been instigated by the left. They started off with the Russian hoax. Donald Trump had to defend himself. Then they went on to impeachment. Then they went on to just a full-blown war against him, that he's involved with Russia. When we then find out the real people that are colluded, they were just basically deflecting on what they're currently doing. But these polls are completely wrong. You just have to see the crowds. I mean, somebody told me today, I was streaming, and somebody goes to me, "Did you hear what happened? Donald Trump left people, and they got sick because he left them after a rally." And I go, I've never heard of any presidential candidate giving rides back to the people that show up to his events. But nevertheless, it's much easier for Joe Biden because he could fit them all in one minivan for the people that show up to his event. But again, this is just ridiculous. This is rhetoric. The left has no arguments. So they just focus on Trump is a bad person. Trump is this. Trump is that. Listen, Were we better off 4 years ago than what we were pre-pandemic? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Slowest recovery since the Great Depression, Obama's administration. I mean, look at the recovery we're having with a world pandemic, a worldwide pandemic, and we're recovering at a faster pace than anybody ever predicted. Ever predicted. People seem to forget the numbers that were originally stated that we were going to lose, the lives that Fauci claimed we were going to lose. Over 2 million people were going to die from COVID-19. We're at 200,000. One life is too many, but I would say that is a pretty good job Donald Trump has done. But they won't give him credit for it. They'll just use it for political purposes, to use it like he mishandled the COVID-19, when we all know that everything that Biden is saying he's going to do has already been done by Donald Trump. He got stimulus packages out there right now. The Democrats are just sitting on it. They do not want to release the stimulus package. They were hoping that by not releasing it, the economy wouldn't have such a high GDP, but apparently it failed. So they've been holding it hostage. They've been holding this money hostage from the American people, and this should make the American people really pissed off. It should make you think twice on who you should be having representing you in Congress and in the Senate. It really should. The Republicans have tried. They've tried to negotiate, and Nancy Pelosi just won't budge because she wants to bail out her friends, Andrew Cuomo in New York, and all these cities that have failed their cities, and they want to use money for non-COVID purposes. I agree. I like their package, the Heroes package or whatever the Heroes that. I like it. I think it's great until you get to the nitty gritty and you start breaking it down and you start seeing where some of this money is allocated to, and it's bailing out a lot of these poorly ran cities and states, mainly democratically ran states. May I say that? So I've been seeing. I saw today Donald Trump in Tampa, full crowd. I see him everywhere, full crowd. People are willing to be in 40-degree weather with rain falling on them, and they think that Joe Biden's going to win the election. Donald Trump has thousands of people waiting prior to him arriving for a day, and Joe Biden has 8 people that show up whenever he wants to, and every once in a while you'll see him like, oh, he came out of the basement and he went on a little small rally in the border of Delaware and Pennsylvania, 30 minutes away from his house. That guy doesn't leave his jurisdiction, his little area where he lives in. It's ridiculous. It's sad. It's pathetic. It's lack of leadership. Where you see Trump speaking on the microphone, on the mic, he's optimistic. He sees a bright future for America. Then we see Joe Biden, and he's Debbie Downer. Everything is going to be bad for America. America's going to hit. It could be more people are going to die from COVID-19. The world is ending. Yada 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 yada. Ah, shut the fuck up. I'm tired of listening to you. I'm tired of listening to all the people defending you. And the fact that Hillary says that she would puke and her stomach would hurt at the thought of Donald Trump being reelected makes me want him to get reelected even more. Because Hillary, nobody gets more corrupt than you. You and your family and the Obamas and the Bidens have all been making money on the backbone of the American people for decades. You come out of office and you're instantly rich. You're rich. Joe Biden's net worth, apparently somebody told me, was somewhere around $90,000 while he was vice president, which I highly doubt. And now he's got 4 mansions, houses everywhere. Tell me, do you think that these deals happen? You know, their assets are frozen while they're vice president and president. So they can't make moves. They can't do any dealings. Everything gets frozen pretty much. They're like in a time capsule as they're participating in their position or working in their position. So all these deals are set up so after they're done with their presidency or vice presidency, they get the income afterwards. President Truman said it best. No public official, nobody who works for the American people, nobody that works for the public now I'm paraphrasing this, should ever become rich, should ever be rich after serving the public. I'm paraphrasing it. It's somewhere along those lines, though. I know I'm on the right track. But apparently the Democrats, Republicans as well, all that's out the window. They're all extremely wealthy. They're all extremely rich off our backbones, off our tax-paying dollars. They make deals that benefit themselves, even though it jeopardizes American jobs, American people. And this is a huge problem. And Donald Trump has literally attacked it head on. He's attacking the big tech by himself. He's literally, because Congress, the Senate, they're all saying, oh, we're going to stop this, we're going to stop this, but they don't do shit because they're all bought and paid for by these big tech companies. This is all a show for us to watch. But Donald Trump is actually going at them. Donald Trump is actually attacking them. Donald Trump is a man of action. And when you look at the pros and cons, whether you like him or hate him, his personality, his approach on things, the way he speaks, I understand you can dislike him, but his actions speak louder than words. And you should not be voting based on emotion or the way somebody is as a person. You should be voting based on what he's going to do for your family, for your life, and for your country. And the best candidate. You don't vote against a president. You vote for a president. And that is pretty much what the left is doing right now. So the left has basically just... Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
Do you feel homeless in today's American political world? Not really into either candidate or party? Guess what? You're not alone. Join me and others just like you across this great country for a discussion of politics from a viewpoint that you can't find in today's media. The Middle. I'm your host, Brian Grozier, and I invite you to join in on the discussion by downloading and listening to the Middle American Podcast.
They have so much hate in their hearts for Donald Trump that they're willing to vote for whoever. It could be Satan himself, and they'll vote him in as long as Donald Trump doesn't become president. I mean, look, Twitter's going crazy right now because Donald Trump met up with Lil Wayne. Is that not good? That he's talking to people that are influential in the Black African American community? I think that's great. In my opinion, I think that's great. But apparently Twitter doesn't. And apparently Twitter does not stop censoring even after they saw the Senate. This shows you they had Dorsey, which is the CEO of Twitter, was literally being questioned by Ted Cruz, by everyone on the Senate. The following day, they censored and blocked Border Patrol's top position because he tweeted out the accomplishments that the Border Patrol on the wall has done. And then their explanation is, they released a comment later. Their explanation is we don't, anything that has to do with racism, this and that, which had nothing to do with the man's tweet. They literally slapped the senators in the face. The senators told them what they're doing is wrong and this, and the next day they went ahead and did it anyways. You know why? Because they think they're above everybody else. Big tech thinks they own everybody, and they do. Because right now, somebody opens, let's say, a Facebook, right? Some sort of form of Facebook. It becomes super popular, extremely popular. Everybody starts joining it because there's no censorship. You can talk, speak your mind. What do you think Facebook's going to do? They're going to try to buy them out. And what do you think the person that owns it is going to do? He's going to think of what's in his best interest, and he's going to sell it. That's exactly what he's going to do. So this is a monopolized industry. We're having people from San Francisco, from the most liberal people in the U.S. basically controlling our freedom of speech on their platform. So my suggestion to all you guys out there is don't listen to anything that's on Twitter or Facebook. Don't believe anything that's on Twitter or Facebook, because most likely they're not saying the full story. Because if it's an actual story like the New York Post's story, they'll censor it. But if it's tapes that were leaked of Melania Trump talking to a friend, or an Atlantic story that had an anonymous source that couldn't even be verified, that said Donald Trump said this about the military, but then 26 people are on record saying otherwise, that he never said that, yeah, I would think twice about believing anything that's posted on Twitter. It's obviously a biased community, as well as Facebook. And to be perfectly honest with you, Dorsey's a clown. He may be rich, but it doesn't change the fact of who he is. He's a scumbag. He's the bottom of the food barrel. He's using his power instead to help people. He uses it to benefit himself. And he is pretty much a little tech dictator, is what he is. And that's what I have to say about that. These poll numbers, I promise you that if they're wrong again, and Donald Trump wins by a landslide like I predict, these pollsters better start looking for a new job. And the government better start investigating them and what they're doing and how they're getting these numbers, because they're claiming that they're actual and they're factual, and these are actual polls. And I think that this is just to mislead the public. Show Trump is losing. Maybe Trump supporters lose motivation. Maybe Trump supporters don't go out there to vote because they think it's a lost cause and he's going to lose. He obviously already proved that in 2016, but apparently they don't learn. Apparently the media, the polls, they just don't learn that these little tricks that they have up their sleeves do not work. We see the crowds. We see the crowds on TV. If you notice on Biden or Obama, I mean, Obama had a few people honking horns, and it was like in a parking lot or something. It was embarrassing to see him criticizing the president. And mind you, lying along the way, lying the whole way along the way about his great, that Joe Biden is great in foreign policy, when people that have known him for years, people that went to law school with the man, said he was the dumbest guy in his class. I mean, no disrespect. I mean, I'm just stating what people have said. I don't know Joe Biden personally. He doesn't look like the brightest person in the world, but apparently he's bright enough to launder a shit ton of money through Hunter Biden's bank accounts and getting it to his bank accounts, and he's untouchable. So apparently he's done something right. Apparently he knows how to work the system. He may not be the smartest person, but he's a damn good con man. He's a damn good con man. And Obama's just a person that speaks like a professor. He just does. And Donald Trump speaks like an American. He speaks like an average person. His vocabulary is completely different. So people think Obama's this educated, smart guy. There's no way he's wrong. There's no way. And then, of course, who built the cages, Joe? Who built the cages, Joe? Huh? Who built the cages?
Come on, man.
Who's the racist, Joe? The guy that passed the guy that passed who's the real
racist
out there? Who is it? The guy that passes the mass incarceration, was against school busing, was friends with Senator Byrd, who wanted to filibuster the civil rights movement. Who's really the racist here? Or Donald Trump, that spent the majority of the 80s hanging out with civil rights activists? Mind you, those who hate him now. Apparently Al Sharpton needs Donald Trump's money. That's why he's lost so much weight. Apparently he's not getting those donations from Donald Trump, so he needs money to feed himself. He's lost massive weight from the time that he was friends with Donald Trump. I'm being sarcastic, by the way. But yeah, this is just ridiculous. The polls are completely off. Do not go by the polls. Go out there, vote. Go. I know just in my own neighborhood, there's maybe 2 people voting for Biden out of like 100 people. Believe me, the polls are completely wrong. There's not even a slim chance, there's not even a slim chance Biden's going to win Florida. As a matter of fact, he's going to flip Miami, which Hillary held in 2016. Donald Trump is going to flip Miami. Miami's going to go red. And Texas, them throwing out the comment that Texas might go blue, give me a fucking break. Anybody who knows Texans or anybody who lives in Texas knows that that's not going to happen. That is not ever going to happen. But again, these people like to ignore
facts evidence, reason,
all this,
logic.
all this. It's unfortunate, but they just this. I mean, this is stuff that Obama would quote himself, but the left seems to ignore it. They seem to ignore it, and apparently they're not going to talk about what's going on with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. As corrupt as it is, they're going to hide it under the rug, even if we're right close to an election. And the people should know what they're getting themselves into and who they're voting for. But apparently, it's going to be swept under the rug. I honestly, for the sake of America, I know that I am on the right side of history here. I know I am. I feel it in my gut. I go by facts, not feelings. And I know I'm on the right side of history. I know I'm voting for the right candidate, Donald J. Trump. I know I am. Those of you who want Biden to win and voted for Biden just because you hate Donald Trump, if Biden does by any chance become president, don't cry later. You will regret it. Mark my words, today, as I state this to you guys, Thursday, October 29th, I am telling you, you will absolutely regret voting for Joe Biden if he wins the election. It will be singly the most irresponsible vote that you've ever taken in your entire life. It's a vote against you, a vote against your own family, a vote against America. This is the beginning of huge changes that the Democrats want to do to seek power for the next 100 years. Wake up, people. Wake up. And I'm talking to everybody out there, Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians. Wake up. Joe Biden's not the option. The Democratic Party is no longer the party that you once stood for. It's a bunch of angry people with radical thoughts that make no sense, plans that won't work, that will destroy our country. And these people cannot even blame China for a fucking virus that we know came from China. Do you think Joe Biden's going to hold China accountable? I highly doubt that, especially with his son receiving so much money from them. Do you think Joe Biden's going to be tough on Russia? They criticized Donald Trump, but Donald Trump gave Ukraine weapons, where Obama gave them towels and pillows. People think. Do your own research. There's videos of Joe Biden and the things. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. This is the same man that ran for president 2 other times prior to this and was caught cheating, lying. I mean, this is the same man that co-authored the mass incarceration bill. To my African Americans friends out there, this man does not like you. He does not like me. He does not like minorities. He utilizes us. He thinks that we're so stupid, and Kamala Harris is doing the same thing. He thinks we're so stupid that by putting the song Despacito, he's going to get people to vote for him, Hispanics to vote for him. Just like Hillary said that she carries Tabasco hot sauce in her purse. They think that we're that stupid that we would be willing to fall for a trick like that. That's how small they think we are. You know what Donald Trump told us 4 years ago? What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? And you know what Donald Trump provided? Lowest unemployment rate for minorities and African Americans, opportunity zones in black communities, funding for historical colleges, prison reform that was promised by every single president prior to him, never done, but he did it. Wake up. Wake up. You know what's going to unite us? Is exactly what Donald Trump said. Success. When people are making money, there's no need to commit crimes. Violence goes down. People are living good. Even with this pandemic and everything that's going on, we're getting through it. We're Americans. We're tough. Don't be fooled and don't be tricked by these left-wing radicals that have a private agenda for themselves and not for the American people. They have their own interest at heart. Remember something. This president walked in to the Oval Office rich And he's going to walk out poorer than what he walked in. Whereas every other president has walked in poor and walked out richer than what they came in. Just keep that in mind. This man put his livelihood, this man put a wonderful life on the line. This man lost so many friends, lost so many businesses because he had branding, he had the TV shows, he had a bunch of things, and he lost it all. His clothing line, he lost contracts with his clothing line. He lost a lot of money. And he said it, this man has been saying the same thing since the 80s. Look it up. That he's not interested in running for president. That he's not interested. They kept asking him for decades. He says, only if I see that this country is in a situation where I need to step in, then I will run for president. And he did. And now they hate his living guts because he won and because he's actually keeping the promises. And people are not used to that. So just food for thought, my friends. I love you all. Whether you're all Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, human beings, whatever you are, I love everybody. This is just my political view, and I just want to feed you guys some of my information and my knowledge. Some of my wisdom, maybe. Guys, God bless you. God bless your families. God bless America. And have yourselves a safe Halloween out there. Try to follow all the CDC guidelines. But don't trap yourself at home and be depressed. And my kids are going trick-or-treating. We've set up a method here in the neighborhood where people are just going to leave things outside and people can just go into baskets. Enjoy yourselves. Let your kids enjoy themselves. Because I promise you, come November 4th, the pandemic is going to be history. Good night.
We will make America great again.